everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the NJSBDC's Not So Small Business webcast. We're your hosts. I'm Brian Moran.
And I'm Kelly Brosna.
And today, Kelly and I are going to celebrate New Jersey's veteran entrepreneurs and business owners. We're going to recognize them, celebrate them, and support them with two veteran business owners on the show today. We have Ken Tays, who after a long and distinguished career in financial services is now the owner of Minuteman Press in Newark, and Maria Salazar, who is the owner of a nonprofit company called Claymore Vets, which provides deep art engagement for veterans and first responders. And I'm really excited to hear about what both of them are doing. So with that, let's welcome to the webcast, Ken and Maria.
So maybe we could start off with you, Ken, and tell us a little bit about your business and how you came into this franchise opportunity, and perhaps maybe the importance of you being a veteran in moving into entrepreneurship.
Sure. Thanks, Kelly. Brian, as you mentioned, Brian, I spent over 20 years in the financial services industry, and I got to a point in my career where I really had an entrepreneurial desire to do something on my own. So being that I was more advanced in my career, I didn't think that starting a business from scratch was probably an appropriate way to go. So I reviewed some different franchise opportunities out there. So I thought the franchise model, because the franchise provides you so much support, that it was a great way for me to go. And sure enough, there was a business around that I could purchase. I decided on Minuteman Press because I thought printing was an area where I could run the business and hire the talent to be able to do the graphics and the production. Minuteman Press is a full service print marketer that we have six really lines of product lines. We have marketing materials, which business card, postcard, flyers, signs, promotional items, apparel, graphic design, and direct mail.
Yeah. And we'll get a little bit into where you're putting your services, because I know firsthand at the veterans events that we do, I know that you do a lot with their signage and their banners and all of that stuff. So we'll get into the resources that veterans have in a minute. And maybe, Maria, we can step in to what you're doing, because you're running a nonprofit. You took a little bit different path, and maybe you could talk about your sort of journey on how you came into this type of business and why it was important for you.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Kelly and Brian. So the reason I ended up wanting to run a nonprofit is because I've always been an artist, right? So art for me is the way to escape and process and filter life. Ever since I can remember, I've instinctively gravitated towards being a creative person. It just time, happened that when my twins went back to school, one of my corporals completed his life, and I had spoken to him the week before that, and it really hit me hard because he'd never mentioned like once that he was feeling this way, right? And it hit me hard because I felt like we were letting each other down. I think the government and the agencies and everyone else does a good job of letting us down, but we have to really be our brothers and sisters keepers. And so with all this time in my hands, I was like, well, I'm going to go back to school. I used my GI Bill and I went back to school for art therapy. Because like I said, instinctively, I've known that art helps me process life, right? But I wanted to understand the psychology behind it and really, really diving deep into the methodology of why it's so powerful and helpful for veterans. So Ceramics 101 was one of the required courses for my degree. And I walked into the studio, and the minute my hands touched the mud, I was like, what is this? I don't want to leave again. And a part of my thesis, I wrote my thesis on the therapeutic benefits of working with veterans with PTSD and ceramics. I did a side case of a solo exhibit that took me about 6 months to complete this exhibit. And in that process, I really, I was able to have a deep introspective journey. And I realized that clay is a very good medium for veterans because it's very absorbing and it provides somatic release. most of us veterans lose the ability to have a verbal language to relate our traumatic narratives. But through working with a creative outlet, you're able to express these emotions and these feelings without really having to be too upfront about it. So that was basically what prompted me to start the nonprofit. And obviously Claymore, you know, it's a word that most veterans recognize, but there's a little bit of a play on we do clay and more, because we do other creative outlets as well. So, but yeah, that was basically why.
That's great. And I've seen some of your artwork. It's amazing. And even some of the murals that you've done. So I know you do more than just mud, but your work is amazing and very commendable for your efforts with supporting other veterans that are going down a dark pathway, and hopefully bring a little bit of light to that. So thank you for that. And thank you, Ken, for all that you're doing. And because I know that you do a lot of volunteer work, and I know that you give back, especially to the veteran community. But Brian, I'll let you do the next question, because I keep taking over the whole show here. So
Well, I know your history in with the military, so I know that this is an important area for you as well. I'd like to know a little bit about the NJ Vets Chamber. I know it was tell us a little bit about it. You know, what the background is and how you got involved in it, and what are some of the things that you're doing for New Jersey veteran. Ken, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, sure. So I think the chamber's been around for about 4 years. It was created by retired Colonel Jeff Cantor. I got involved about 3 years ago, right after I bought my Minuteman Press print shop. I was looking for some organizations to be a part of. The local chamber here out of in Essex County, the Newark area, was one of those outlets. But then getting hooked in with the New Jersey's Veteran Chamber of Commerce. And it's really, I got involved with it because I wanted to be around the veterans. It actually gives me a lot of the camaraderie that we had in the military. People are very much like-minded, very disciplined, organized, structured people. Mm-hmm. And something you don't always find in the corporate environment. So there's one thing that I really got kind of involved with. I got to know Jeff and Francisco Cortez, who's the president. And eventually, after about a year, they asked me to be on the board. So I get even more involved. And as Kelly said, you know, I do provide a lot of the signs for their events. But I work very closely with them. I know Maria, you know, we work very hard on the recent music festival. So, but just being around vets and being around this group of people, especially on this board, it's just the way we execute, the way we plan, organize, and execute. It just reminds me so much of the things that we did while we were in the military. And that's kind of really, I feel like I'm really at home with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the amazing thing, because a lot of veterans and something that we at the NJSBDC try to push as well is the transferable skills that you bring out of the military and what you can bring into whether it's a for-profit or nonprofit world. And a lot of vets don't realize the logistics and the systems and processes that you have, the way that you can actually really, you know, take on a task and take it from inception to deployment to, you know, repeatable opportunities are there. And I know, Maria, we could get into that because you're taking on a new role as well with the Veteran Chamber, and maybe you could talk a little bit about, you know, your connection with the Veteran Chamber, but also the resources that the Chamber has to offer other veterans throughout the state of New Jersey.
Yeah, like Ken mentioned, I think one of our big efforts is to try to get as many veteran-owned business certified so that the state can meet the 2% set-aside requirement. But a big part of this is that going forward, we want to have a deeper connection to our membership. So we're going to be having, you know, events for B2B to connect. We're going to be having marketing community partnerships with the university. But for example, SBDC, you guys are one of our biggest allies and supporters, and we always try to have events for procurement and networking. yeah, so we're going to try to infuse a little bit more of like the boots on the ground, because I feel like the pandemic was hard on everyone, but veterans, we tend to isolate, right? We have a hyper independent characteristic to ourselves that when you know hit, I was gonna say a bad word, when stuff hits the fan, right? We kind of be like we crouch down and we're like, we got it, right? But we have a really hard time reaching out to another and be like, hey, I kind of need help. I'm out of ammo. Come help me, right? So we're trying to kind of shift that paradigm and really reconnect within our membership. Because like Ken said, I think when we work together, we are stronger. And so, yeah, I mean, we have a very big membership, and if we lean into each other, I think we'll be very impactful.
And I think one of these things too, sorry to cut you off, Brian, but is to get the word out that there are opportunities for veterans. So the marketing of it, and again, you know, Maria, I know you're going through the certification process as we speak, you know, to get your nonprofit certified as a service-disabled veteran-owned business and a women-owned business. And Ken, I would assume that you're already all set up for being a veteran-owned business through Minuteman Press. The importance of that, and you mentioned the contract opportunities and the you know, we don't necessarily like the word set aside, but it really is important that we give back to the veteran community of giving them an opportunity, a hand up, not a handout, and certification can be part of that. And yes, we work in tandem with the Veteran Chamber to help their members to get certified through the no-cost consulting through the SBDC. So I think that that's very important on that, and probably will open up new doors for each of you as being business owners with having your certification. And sorry, Brian, I cut you off there. You had a question.
No, it's all good. Actually, I was going to kind of talk a little bit about that, the certification process, the procurement opportunities. You know, I went on your website before our webcast, do a little bit of homework, and I saw that you have these procurement events. Is that a pretty big part of what the New Jersey Veterans Chamber offers to members, the veterans who are coming back and starting their own businesses? You know, here's a great opportunity. You know, you get certified, and then you connect with these government agencies and corporations that are looking to hire veteran-owned businesses. Is that a big part of it?
Yeah, providing that level of connectivity is a huge part of it, Brian. You know, we have this last May, we was our first annual business summit. We brought, and I must have been a couple of hundred veteran businesses together, and instead of like finding a company or finding an event and going out, veteran businesses going out and meeting other companies, we set up a situation where we put all the veteran businesses together and other companies came to us, right? And I think the one thing that I found as a veteran business is really pretty interesting is that all these companies have diversity programs in which most cases veterans are part of that. Well, what I find is I have companies approaching me saying, Ken, we have women-owned businesses in our diversity program. We're lacking veteran representation, and so I've gotten work from corporations just based on the fact that I was a veteran and they needed a veteran representation in their diversity program. So those are really big things. You know, like I said, we had the summit in May. We had tons of companies come through and connect with us from everything, you know, from all different walks of life. And you know, the government is a big part of that. I don't know if people know or not that I think with the government, if it's below $50,000, that they don't actually even have to bid it out. Mm-hmm. And they actually can just give it to a veteran-owned business. So making connections with the procurement people, with the government agencies in your area is a huge key.
And Maria, we talked a little bit about the opportunities for you, especially not only on the military installations, but in higher education and in beautifying and in bringing people in. Maybe talk a little bit about your opportunities that you've had recently, because it's been pretty exciting, all the things that you've been able to do.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things for me, being connected to the chamber has been that I've been having a lot of really good networking connections. I think a little bit of success is being prepared when opportunity knocks, right? But then you need to have the right people to connect you to gatekeepers. So I like to think that my creativity meets opportunity. I was in San Diego. I did a mural for Veterans Park. We're working with a couple of FDU for a mural coming up for their urban campus. Yeah, so we were having a lot of, creative projects coming up. But I think Ken mentioned something that is really important too, that we often don't realize how interconnected we all are, right? And having these networking events, it's very big, especially for other veteran owners to feel supported, because I think it's an uphill battle sometimes, and having the support of SBDC and programs that have already laid out the template, especially coming out of the pandemic. It was, a lot of people had a very hard turnover. So being able to be afforded these opportunities to be able to just plug in your specific fields, it's very helpful.
I'm wondering what type of partnerships you set up with other, you have the NJSBDC and somebody like Kelly, who's a huge champion, but then I'm sure there are other New Jersey agencies and other partnerships, because the one thing about veterans is that they're interspersed in almost every organization and association, right? That's the overlay. You can have a women's chamber, African-American chamber, Hispanic chamber, but the veterans are part of all of those chambers, right? So are you finding that you're able to forge these relationships because of the fact that it's a veteran talking to a veteran?
Yeah, I think so. One of the, and to that point, Brian, New Jersey Economic Development, it's not association. Authority
Yeah.
is one of our partners that we work with. Especially it was during COVID that we were really able to get a lot of the information out from them to make sure that veteran business had access to some of the relief funds that were out there. But I think another strong partnership we have is with the Hispanic Chamber, right? And that becomes from some of the leadership in the Hispanic Chamber also being a part of the New Jersey Chamber and the Veterans Chamber, and so that does give us a strong connectivity with and kind of cross-pollination, if you will, with that organization.
So, and there's some events that are coming up. So, and I know that the chamber has been working on some things. We just finished in September, the music festival that took place, which was amazing. And we had some great attendance. Talk to us a little bit about maybe what other offerings the Veterans Chamber is looking to do and in your role in some of those.
Do you want to take that, Ken, or you want me to say it?
Go ahead.
Okay, so for 2023, we actually have a couple of things happening. We were just awarded a grant from the state, so we're going to be creating an informational and interactive portal for veterans to plug into. We'll have virtual classes, virtual certifications. We're looking to partner with universities for continuing education, not only for veterans, for military spouses as well. We really want to try to target the whole veteran ecosystem, and spouses and children of veterans are also an important part of this ecosystem. Like I said, we're really trying to shift gears into having a more boots on the ground connection with their membership. So we're going to be hosting monthly or quarterly networking events for B2B to meet and greet each other and support each other. We're also going to be bringing back the vet talks and highlighting the business owners of the month. I think this was something that was being done before, but like I said, the pandemic kind of, took a blow of everything. But we're regaining our energy and trying to refocus a little bit of our engagement. So we're excited. We have a lot of things coming up for the next year.
I would add one thing to that, Maria, was that we do have next week, actually, there is a vet talk and talks about how veteran businesses get involved with the cannabis industry. So, and I'll actually be speaking on that as from an ancillary business perspective.
In how do people find out about these events? Like, how are you marketing it, and how can people connect? Because obviously, you know, we at NJSBDC are more than happy to promote your activities, and we can plug it in. But if somebody just came off the street or they're looking for opportunities, how would they find out about these opportunities?
Well, I think the best way to find out about these opportunities is sign up for our monthly newsletter. You can do that by going onto the chamber site and join the chamber. The chamber is free to join for any veteran or veteran business. You don't even have to own a business. You can just be a veteran to join the chamber. Be a part of our newsletter distribution list. But we're also posting on socials. So like things like LinkedIn and Facebook and those types of mediums that we push that information out.
And Maria, how are you? So your role that you're taking with the Veteran Chamber, talk just a little bit, because I think you're doing a lot of the marketing and the PR work, right? For and sort of organizing some of these opportunities.
Yeah, so I'm going to be part of the executive assistant role is going to be that, you know, organizing more events. We're going to be trying to push in more social media connections, trying to engage more interactive membership. And, you know, like my background in the Marine Corps, I was a logistics specialist. So I am able to pull a whole bunch of resources into one spot and be like, this is what we're going to do. So I'm gonna tap into that hat and try to help out that way.
Oh, I saw how structured you were with the Veterans Music Festival. So.
Good.
So they're very fortunate to have somebody with your background that are joining the team. And I know, so are you doing a membership drive? You know, is this something that the chamber is looking at? Because I know I think Ken, you mentioned that they're looking to get the I hate the word set asides, but with the state of New Jersey, so that it can actually promote veterans and veteran entrepreneurship. Are you looking for a specific number of people to come in? Are you doing a membership drive? I mean, what are you looking that perhaps we in our audience can maybe help you with?
So we're in perpetual membership drive, right? There's not a time that we're not acquiring members, but we are trying to build our ranks, because we feel like the more people we can get to join the chamber, the more say that we can have in Trenton. And that is one of the things, is that, you know, we need a large membership to be able to have influence. And the more membership that we have, the greater influence that we can have for the veteran community.
Got it.
Do you work? Are there veterans chambers in other states? Like, did you work with them, kind of share best practices, or what's going right, what's going wrong?
Yeah, we created the U.S. Coalition of State Chambers of Commerce. We currently have 17, I think it's actually up to 20 now, states that are, and we meet monthly to discuss strategies and best practices to support our veteran business owners. The goal is to lean into each other and learn from other states and see what's working with them, and kind of like, hey, you know, pass the template over, or if we can provide some support to them as well. But the goal is to create a fair business environment for all veterans nationwide. And we're actively recruiting other chambers from other states. We actually have the map on our website if anybody is interested to know what veteran states are involved with us.
So one of the questions that I think that we see all the time is what are the barriers for veterans when they're getting out of the military, and what are the barriers for veterans to perhaps start their own business, and maybe tell a little bit of what some of your barriers were and how you overcame them. So, because just like any entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur is challenging. It's a lot of hard work. I really do think that in the veteran community, there's a little bit more that you have to overcome, you know, to be able to move into your next stage of life. right? So, everybody loves being in the military and they're veterans, and now they're coming out to the civilian world. So talk to us a little bit about maybe some of the barriers that you faced. Did you see your friends and other veteran business owners, what they faced, and maybe we always like to say solutions to this. How did they overcome that and to be successful? So maybe, Ken, we could start with you, seeing that you started a little while ago and you took the franchise option, which is a great option for veterans. There are some discounts for veterans to start specific franchises, and they have opportunities there. But what were some of the obstacles and how did you overcome that?
So I think for a lot of veterans that want to be entrepreneurs, it's one is capital and being able to raise capital. The other is connections. And a lot of veterans, after they spend 20 years, 25 years in the military, they come out, they have a lot of connections, but not in their local area where they want to do business in. So getting connected to the local area, maybe you're moving back to your hometown after a 20-year career or 10 or 15-year career in the military, right? And so those people that have been there a long time have a lot more connections than you do. So I think that being able to get connected is probably the most difficult thing. Now, I bought a shop in Newark, a town that I had no connection to at all. So building the connections and networking was really a big chore for me to be able to try to do that, to maintain the connections that the shop already had, plus to actually try to grow the business with new connections.
Yeah. And how about you, Maria, with your nonprofit?
I think a little bit of on a personal level for all of us veterans, before we even get to the business part of it, is having that introspective conversation and finding your sense of service and purpose again, right? Because I think once you're out of the service, it's really hard to find your identity again, right? Where do you belong? Like, you're not part of a structure, but you function best in a structure.
Yes.
So I think finding that crossroads of what's my talent, how can I serve the community, and how am I going to be successful at? I think being able to have those kind of like brainstorming groups to kind of help you decide what your next step is going to be. I think that's a big obstacle to overcome. Just because, a lot of times I think the fear of failure makes you second guess yourself, right? But if you have the conviction that what you're doing is serving yourself, your sole purpose, and you're also serving the community that needs it, I think veterans are very, to a degree, we're very invested, right? Once we set our mind to something, like, we make it happen, like we'll charge that hill. It's just finding that direction and support, and I think creating these kind of platforms and ecosystems for each other to bounce ideas off of and advise and support, and I know, Ken, you can attest to this, but I think one of the things that I really like about being in a veteran community is because we say things straight, right? There's no like walking on eggshells. It's like, if you're screwing up, I'm gonna tell you, like, I'm gonna pull you to the side, but like, listen, what are we doing? Let's fix this, right? We're not going back and forth. Let's find a solution. Let's fix it, right? And personally, I like that. I like a direct approach and how to best direct, my course of action. If I'm lacking in something, or if I need support in something, I'd rather have that. Tough love talk.
Yeah.
So
I think
it's funny that you say that. So when and I didn't serve myself, but I was a military spouse, and I would do a lot of speaking engagements on the military installations. And I would always say entrepreneurship is an option, not only for the veteran, but also the spouses. Because my ongoing joke is like, your spouse, man, female, whatever, can make or break your happiness at your duty station. So it would be really good to make sure your spouse is happy, happy wife, happy life, right?
Yeah.
That the old saying that it goes, but it really is true. And it's about the support that we talk about, the ecosystem, but it's also about the family and friends supporting in your endeavors and entrepreneurship, because I'm sure there are days, and Ken, during COVID, people are not purchasing banners and things because they're not going out, they're not doing presentations. So there's some rough patches, that you go through. And Maria, your artwork, people might not have wanted to come in person, to do some of the things, which sort of defeats the purpose of getting your hands in the mud and creating something from nothing, right? And so it's really important about having the family support, whether spouse or no spouse, parents, kids, things like that, and even friends that can support you and lift you up during those hard times. And I'm sure that especially during the last couple of years with shutdowns and things like that we've all depended a little bit more on that. But I do think that veterans, especially looking at your transferable skills coming out of the military and trying to figure out your purpose and your mission and where you have your passion, could be challenging. Did you all experience that as well? And the family support, and it gave you that extra little kick in the butt maybe to keep moving forward, as opposed to trying to take a step back?
Well, I think that family support is huge, especially as a business owner, because you're right. If you don't have that support at home, you're not going to be able to execute it. And getting back to something Maria said about the structure, right? How does a structured person live in an unstructured world? And that's one of the hardest things, is that as a business owner, you want your employees to act a certain way or do a certain thing. And when your employees aren't as structured as you are, and you're trying to get them to, it can be extremely frustrating, right? But you have to kind of temper your expectations about what, where you come from and where everybody else comes from is not the same place. So learning to adapt about leading in the military and leading in the civilian world can be two different things. The skills are transferable, but being able to be that chameleon, to be able to operate in any environment is a thing that people like me that are very structured are challenged with, because we have to learn how to be unstructured.
I got a quick
About
question.
having to pivot, right? Having to pivot.
Yeah, that's a big part of that.
Yeah.
Probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I did some work with FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson, on a program called Veterans Launching Ventures. And so I probably spoke 5 or 6 times down there to groups of veterans who were starting their own businesses. Do you offer courses like that to your members?
So right now we're currently talking to different universities to be able to put this program in place. Like I said, with continuing education, I think the biggest effort, I think, is going, hitting the ground where everybody, like, there's pockets of veterans throughout the community. And I think our efforts would be best spent if we can come to them, especially, and a big part of it too is that when you're a veteran going to school, like, your time is so limited, you already have full families. So being able to plug away for, extra continuing education, it's not going to be able to happen. So we need to be able to bring it to them, to their communities.
All right. So I'm going to go on record. I have a partner in this workshop that we do, and she's probably going to kill me for this. But it's called Bricks or Sticks: Building a Foundation for Your Business That Lasts. So I've spent 30 years helping business owners figure out how to navigate the path to their own success. And we can talk offline about this, but I'd love to bring that workshop. It's a 4-week workshop. So, and it's all, self-directed. So we have videos, we have a workbook for each week. We talk about what type of business owner are you, how to put together a GPS plan, how to deal with, scenarios. We play something called the what if game. We talk about all of the obstacles. There's a lot of it too that would resonate with business owners. We talk about discipline, commitment, accountability, how that's the secret sauce to success. So here's what I'd like to do. We'll put together a class, no charge, to New Jersey veterans. I think we can limit it to 20. But we'll offer, let's figure out a month that works for you and Ken and New Jersey veterans, and we'll have them sign up and we'll give them the workshop. And if it works, we'll do it again.
That sounds good. So and
Good.
just the other resources too, and that's fabulous, Brian. Fairleigh Dickinson University continues to, and we have an SBDC at Fairleigh Dickinson University. And as a matter of fact, the SBDC is taking over the programming for our veteran entrepreneurship things that they're doing there on both on campus as well as virtual. And I know we've been in talks. Rutgers Business School offers some programming specific to veterans as well, and they put some things together. And I know we're in discussions, but there's other universities completely online. For example, Thomas Edison University has a whole program. It's all 100% online for veterans. They really are targeting veterans, as well as some of the other universities that are across the state. You know, you can there's all sorts of ones, but we like to focus on the New Jersey ones. You know, so want to keep our people in New Jersey to keep them here in New Jersey. So, but there are a lot of opportunities. I think that the biggest problem, and this is just Kelly talking, is what is the right resource for the veteran to go to, and in how do they migrate through that? Because there's so much stuff out there. And I think that that's where the Veteran Chamber comes into play, is that they can actually funnel the veterans. They have a location that they can go to, that they can have those conversations to figure out what is the right resource for them. No different than any other entrepreneur. The biggest problem entrepreneur is, aside from everybody thinks that they need money, right? And it's not always necessarily the case, but is what is the right resource? And it gets disheartening, or you know, people being passed, no, this isn't the right resource. You got to go over here. Oh, go talk to this person. Instead of having that hub and spoke, right? The hub of resources. That's why I think that the Veterans Chamber can come into play as being that hub for veterans, whether you're a business or not a business, to find out what are the resources available to them, to one-stop shop where they don't have to be passed to 50 million different people, right?
Yeah.
Are you both in agreement with that this is a great opportunity for the chamber?
Yeah, I agree. Especially with, you know, I was actually saying in my head, like, we are the hub of resources for veterans, right? But I think also, to add a layer to what you said, we also have to understand the microsystems for each individual location where the veterans are located, right? Because South Jersey is a different microsystem than North Jersey is, right? So being able to plug them in and acting as a matchmaker sort of to the connectors in their individual communities is important, right? For example, like I said, South Jersey has a different culture than North Jersey would, right? And being able to connect them to the power makers and gatekeepers in their own community is going to be a big source that we can provide for them.
Yeah. And Ken, you look like you were going to add to that.
No, we're
Okay.
good. I think that's actually
I was just going to make a joke.
very well
about,
said.
but what is that line of South Jersey and North Jersey? Because I can't get anybody to tell me what is the exact line.
Listen, I've lived in Central Jersey, and they're like, that doesn't exist. I'm like, yes, it does. I'm here.
Yeah. I think it's the difference between Taylor ham and pork roll, right?
Well, there you go. Yeah. There's a few other products that are out there that I'm not sure I want to try that's famous. So
all right, so we're actually in the home stretch. So Kelly, if you don't mind, I just want to find out, kind of last question, what's coming up in 2023 for the New Jersey Veterans Chamber? And if people are interested in connecting with you after this webcast, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? Ken, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Yeah, Brian, I think that, you know, we have some great, like Maria said, we have some programming that's coming up in 2023. We have the new grant from the state. But our big fundraiser will probably again be the music festival again. We're not exactly sure what month that's going to take place yet, but that's one way that you can really come out and support veterans, is find out when that event is. That's a really big fundraiser for us. It's a fun time. There are games and food and drinks and music and really just really a good time. But I think that we're still planning out our 2023 calendar right now, but we will have some great web talks and those types of events coming up, and to push out more information for the chamber. And probably the best way to get in touch with any of us is to go through our contact us page at the New Jersey Veteran State Chamber of Commerce website.
Great. And we'll include that in our resource page when we post this. Yeah. Maria, any final thoughts or wisdom you want to share with our viewers?
No, I think then give all the plans that we have coming up, our contact info. We also are on social media pages, for the millennial veterans, if you want to reach out to us on their preferred social medias. We actually, I don't know when this is going to be airing, but we've partnered with the State Theater of New Jersey, and we're having a veterans concert on November 11th. We're giving away 3 tickets to our chamber members. The first 3 to email, 1 already claimed. So, and they're also offering 20% to vets as well. That's also on our social media page. Yeah, so just be on the lookout. We have a lot of events that we're planning, like our business summit, which was really great. It's a matchmaking procurement type of event, and it was very successful. We got a lot of good feedback from that, so we're looking forward to bringing that back in 2023. Like I said, and really a lot of individual connection, boots on the ground, more deep engagement with our members. Yeah, so I think we have a lot of plans for 2023.
Excellent.
You just tell us just say the website address so that people can go, and we'll put it on the resource page, but we could just, what is the website that people can go to find this information?
I think it's, and you're going to get me wrong, I think it's NJSVeteranschamber.org.
Okay.
I believe that's correct.
All right. It'll be on the resource page.
Okay, yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you, Maria and Ken, for your service in protecting our country and all that you've sacrificed over the years. And thank you for taking your time today to do this talk. It's very important for us to be supporting our veterans, especially during Veterans Week. And we want to make sure that we're highlighting our veterans and all the great work that you do, not only to celebrate the successes of veterans, but also looking at the opportunities for veterans. So thank you for both of you for all that you do, and for the New Jersey Veterans Chamber of Commerce, who's a great partner of ours, and will continue being that partner moving forward. So
yeah,
thank you as well, because you're an amazing partner. You're a great resource for our membership, and we're really excited that we always get to partner with you guys. So thank you as well.
Yeah. Which will definitely continue. So,
and let's thank our listeners. All right, Kelly, great. We have great listeners, great viewers for the NJSBDC Not So Small Business webcast. Keep your suggestions coming, the topics and the feedback. And as you know, we listen to you and we'll always reply. So with that, I want to thank Ken Maria again, and we will see all of you on the next month's episode of the New Jersey NJSBDC Not So Small Business webcast. Until then, take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.